Gormagut Lascian Corla. And the first thing I want to say, I want to commend Jackie Cahill. He's the chair of our committee, but he has stuck his teeth into this. And this, as Marion has said, Matt is from Monaghan. I'm from Roscommon Galway. Dan Brennan isn't in our area. Jackie is from Tipperary. But when we heard that man, when we saw that man within a committee, we knew that somebody doesn't keep something going. Go back to 2004, 20 years ago. They don't keep something going unless they feel there's a woeful injustice done to them. And I want to commend the farmer organisations and welcome Dennis Drennan and Francie here as well. And I also want to remember Pádraig Walsh was within, God rest him, the day that Dan was in with us in the committee. I want to think of him. But this isn't just about Dan Brennan. This could be a farmer in Donegal, in Kerry, in Sligo, in Tipperary or somewhere else. And I don't care what department said what down through the years. This stings to me from the high heavens, to be quite frank about it. And I'm no private investigator or I'm no scientist. But when you check fodder, when you check water, when you see that a farmer, and it's insulting to a farmer to be told that they're not looking after their cattle properly when they're doing it. And when you check all these things, and the farmer isn't at fault, then, as Marion said, you have to have a helicopter view and look outside and see what's wrong. And in my opinion, you know, there was a guy in that day, and I think it's Mr. Crilly, is that right, that was in that day. And, you know, there was samples taken on Eve gutters. There was a very, you know, that guy talked from the heart, and huge research done, and it wasn't being listened to. And something stinks when something goes over to Brussels, but comes back without a person on the committee knowing about it, without it being discussed. Well, what are we doing with this? Are we going to have a report on it? How did it come back? Something is wrong when, you know, you talk about 1 gram and 1 kilogram of catechol. There is something amiss. There is something awful wrong and suspicious when samples go to a place but they don't appear, or they get lost. God, it's very convenient, because that shouldn't happen. There is something very wrong if a vit is moved that had an opinion. Very, very wrong. And in fairness, Minister, it wasn't in your time. There's no one saying one thing to you because you weren't there. You weren't the minister of that given time. But we as politicians, no more than in other inquiries that has been brought up in the Dáil, it is our responsibility to try and undo a wrong in our view that has happened. It is our responsibility that a person, a farmer, a family person, and a person that has gone through, you could see it etched in Dan Brennan's face at that committee. I never knew the man from Adam, neither did Matt. Jackie might have known him. We never knew him from Adam, but you could see it etched in that man's face the years of torture that he and his family would have gone through in trying to get justice. And I welcome what you have said here, Minister, today, that there'll be an inquiry. But I would say to you, I listened to the words of an inquiry, a review of what the department has done, and I heard you saying there was no new information. In my opinion, an independent person, not nominated by the department, I think you should go out or ask Jackie or someone to get that independent person and put whatever expertise. I would actually personally, like some retired High Court judge, might know a lot about farming, but give them the wherewithal to be given the expertise from outside the country. Because the biggest problem, if we're investigating ourselves, we're not too fond of hanging ourselves. And the EPA, in my opinion, has a lot to answer here. There are certain state or semi-state bodies has a fair bit to answer for. Because in my opinion, one farm was sacrificed for a bigger picture. And I would ask you, Minister, to do that, to make sure that we get closure on this. We're not here today of a Thursday afternoon for the crack. We're here to try and make sure there's justice got. And as I say, I welcome, in fairness, you have made this effort. And I welcome that. But please put the wherewithal of the expertise, and if that needs to come from be it Germany or be it the UK or wherever, because no more than a lot of things in this country, it's a small circle. And what needs to be done is not alone of the review of the department, but a review of every person that gave evidence, or if there's more evidence that can be brought forward, the likes of that Crilly guy, and to go to the likes of UCD, to go to all the places and look for the answers, as well as going to Brussels and finding out what went on behind the scenes, that a report was posted back, but no one seemed to know who done it. Now, something is very fishy about that. And, you know, I can go through all the different parts of it. In fairness, Jackie has outlined the case. We have heard it, that basically bones start growing in kidneys. Like there's something wrong. It doesn't happen. How many farmers around the country today has that happening? Zero. There is something wrong that has caused that. And in my opinion, it wasn't that man up on top there, his fault. And there's no point in me going through every tittle-tattle of what went on. That's what the person that's going to be heading this up needs to do. And they need to meticulously go through this and give an open mind, but get the expertise around and listen to all the players in this, including the ordinary people, which is very important. But I welcome what you have done, Minister. I thank you for what you have done. But the one thing that needs to be done is that this doesn't drag on for a year and we're scratching our heads again. This needs to be done as soon as possible. Yes, whatever time is required, to do it meticulously, but not to kick the ball that far down the road that we're waiting and waiting again. Coromila Mahagud.
Thank you, Deputy. I now call on Minister Malcolm Newman, who has 4 minutes.
I won't take up too much time, Caherlock. Again, I just want to welcome Dan Brennan, Francie Corman and Dennis Drennan and representatives of the farm organisations, and I'm sure Dan's family watching at home as well. This is an important day for Dan and his family. I know Dan, he's a responsible farmer, a good farmer, and I visited that farm, I think, with Mary White and John Gormley at the depths of that crisis and saw firsthand what was going on there, and there was something seriously untoward and seriously wrong. And I know Dan to be a good farmer, and I know that this is as much about pride and about vindication of his practices as a farmer. And I think that I welcome, first of all, the work done by Deputy Jackie Cahill and the Agricultural Committee. I sat in and watched that session and again listened again to harrowing evidence, you know, from Dan, and to have to relive that again, I think must have been very difficult on him and his family. But I think the committee did a good job in taking on board that evidence. But I think today, more importantly, I think the commitment that my colleague, Minister McConlogue, has given is an important one, and I really welcome that. I welcome the fact that he is committed now to an independent review of this really very just awful case. And I think, like other deputies have said, I think it needs to be an expansive review. It needs to look at all the scientific evidence and take into account everything. So the terms of reference of the review are going to be very important. But I think for today, I think this is an important day and a good day for Dan on a very long and arduous journey for him and his family to clear and to vindicate what they had known all along, which was something very amiss that wasn't of their making. Gurmagat.